When Amina was 17, life felt like a relentless storm she couldn't escape. Every day was a battle. Her family was struggling to make ends meet, and the weight of their financial stress was a heavy burden on her young shoulders. School wasn't a refuge either. It was just another battlefield. The lessons were tough. The grades were a constant source of anxiety. And the whispers and taunts from other students for being different were like 1,000 tiny needles piercing her confidence. It felt like the world was conspiring against her, with every sunrise bringing a new challenge designed to break her spirit. A harsh word from a teacher, another failing grade, a door of opportunity slammed shut in her face. At first, she surrendered to the pain. She hated it with every fiber of her being. It made her feel small, insignificant, and utterly powerless. The world seemed so big, and she felt so invisible within it. She spent countless nights crying in secret, her pillow soaking up the tears she couldn't show anyone else. She would pray for a hero, for someone, anyone, to swoop in and rescue her from the life that felt like a prison. But no one ever came. One evening, after a particularly crushing day, she couldn't bear the thought of going home. She walked to a small, quiet park and found an old wooden bench under the soft glow of a street lamp. As she sat there, lost in her sorrow, she noticed an older woman nearby. The woman was surrounded by a small group of stray cats, her hands, rough and worn from a life of hard work, gently offering them food. Her clothes were simple and faded, yet she had a presence, a quiet confidence that radiated from her. She smiled at the animals with a genuine, unburdened warmth. Amina watched her for a while, a strange sense of curiosity pushing through her sadness. Finally, she gathered her courage and walked over. "Excuse me," she began, her voice barely a whisper. "How do you stay so calm? How do you look so peaceful when life is so hard?" The woman looked up, her eyes kind and knowing. She didn't offer pity or empty reassurances. Instead, she said gently, "Life gives everyone pain. That's a guarantee. Some people let that pain destroy them. Others, they learn from it. In the end, the choice is yours." Amina frowned, confused. "Learn from it? How can you learn from something that just hurts?" The woman smiled softly. "Pain teaches you to fight. When you have no other choice, you learn to stand your ground. Pain teaches you to survive. You discover reserves of strength you never knew you had. And most importantly, pain teaches you what truly matters. It strips away all the noise and shows you what is essential." Amina didn't fully grasp the depth of those words that night, but they planted a seed in her mind. They echoed in her thoughts as she walked home, a tiny spark in the overwhelming darkness. Over the next few years, life didn't magically get easier. The storm didn't just pass. She still faced failure. She experienced heartbreak that left her feeling shattered. There were countless moments when the urge to quit, to just give up and let the waves pull her under, was almost too strong to resist. But in each of those dark moments, she would remember the woman in the park. She would hear her voice. Pain teaches you to fight. Pain teaches you to survive. So she began to change her perspective. Instead of letting the pain break her, she decided to use it. She started treating it like a teacher, albeit a very harsh one. Each rejection letter wasn't a sign of her inadequacy. It was a lesson in how to improve her application. Each hurtful comment wasn't a reflection of her worth. It became fuel for her determination to prove them wrong. Every obstacle that blocked her path was no longer a dead end. It was a challenge, a puzzle to be solved, a mountain to climb. This shift was gradual, but it was powerful. She started to see her struggles not as punishments, but as training. When she failed a test, she didn't just cry about it. She analyzed her mistakes, studied harder, and sought help from her teachers. When someone made fun of her, she used that sting to build a thicker skin and develop a stronger sense of self. She was forging her own armor, piece by piece, in the fires of her adversity. By the time Amina graduated from university, she was a completely different person. The shy, broken girl who cried herself to sleep was gone. In her place stood a confident, resilient young woman. She had not only excelled academically, but she had transformed her struggles into her greatest strengths. She started a support group for students facing similar challenges, sharing the lessons she had learned. She began speaking publicly, her voice clear and steady, about the power of resilience. She was no longer a victim of her circumstances. She was the architect of her own strength. She succeeded not because life had been easy for her, but precisely because it had been so hard. She had turned every wound into wisdom, every scar into a symbol of her victory. Looking back, she finally understood the full truth of the old woman's words. The very experiences that once made her feel so small and powerless were the ones that had forged her courage. The teasing that once made her feel like an outcast had given her a deep well of empathy for others who felt alone. The constant struggle had instilled in her a level of strength and determination that those who had an easy life could never truly comprehend. Her pain didn't just disappear. It hadn't been erased. Instead, it had become the foundation upon which she built her new life. It was her fire, her motivation, her greatest teacher. And as she looked at her reflection, she smiled. Not a weak, fragile smile, but a strong, knowing one. Because the strength she carried wasn't something she was given or something she was born with. It was something she had earned. In every single moment, she had faced the storm and refused to give up. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content on turning your struggles into strengths.